is a new animated film from Disney Pixar that actually came out a few weeks ago that I did not get a chance to get around to see. But because the coronavirus severely affected the box office for this movie, it was released early on digital, so now I finally got a chance to see it. So, you know, I know Corona sucks, but it has its little bonuses. I am in no way saying that Corona is a good thing. It's obviously a very bad thing. I feel like people are going to take that and run with it.
Oh my god, you piece of shit. You said that Corona was a really great thing for the world.
I don't care what effects people think that it's having on the environment and on the air and stuff like that. Guys, Thanos was wrong, okay? Thanos was wrong. Just make sure you understand that. Voice talent in this movie brings Tom Holland, Chris Pratt, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Octavia Spencer, and it brings them all together in a new movie that blends magic and technology, modern with old, that whole thing. A long time ago, magic existed, and there was a lot of it, and there were wizards, and there were warlocks, and there were unicorns, and there were a whole bunch of weird, crazy creatures. One day, somebody figured out that you could do the magic stuff a little bit easier. Over time, as things got easier, people started transitioning away from magic and more into technology. The story here centers around two teenage elves whose father passed away. Find a spell that he left them that might give them a chance to reunite with him for a day. Get interrupted halfway through doing the spell, so unfortunately they're only able to bring back his lower half, his legs. So now they have to go on this quest, this adventure, to try to get the piece they need to finish the spell so that they can both say goodbye or say whatever they want to their father. I heard that Tom Holland and Chris Pratt were going to be in this movie. I immediately thought of the Footloose joke from Avengers Infinity War, because how could you not?
What dance off?
It's not.
Like in Footloose, the movie?
Exactly like Footloose. Is it still the greatest movie in history?
It never was.
Still one of the best moments from that movie. I honestly think that Star-Lord was more hurt from that than from hearing that Gamora died later. Like, I know he flipped out later, and he's basically the reason that Thanos got all the stones and yada, yada, yada. If you really think about it, he was most hurt when Peter Parker shit all over Footloose, like right in front of him, and showed like zero remorse about the whole thing. Either way, Tom Holland and Chris Pratt, I like them as actors. I like most of the voice actors in this movie, and most of the voice acting is really good. Tom Holland and Chris Pratt in particular, as these two teenage brothers, they do a great job. They play off of each other well. Holland is doing a really good job in this movie at playing awkward and unconfident, and then you contrast that with Chris Pratt, who is basically playing an animated version of Chris Pratt. You know, he's loud, he's rambunctious, he's confident, he's kind of wild, he's kind of out there, but just like you kind of like Star-Lord, you kind of like his character in this movie. Animation here is also really beautiful, really gorgeous stuff. Obviously, it's 2020. You would expect the animation to look good. There are some really great photorealistic environments and backgrounds that are put in this movie, and true, it does sometimes clash with the cartoonish nature of some of the creatures in this movie. It blends a lot better in this movie than it does in other animated films, so I gotta give it credit for that. It kind of sets up for it to be kind of a brother movie that's about them reuniting with their father, and then you have the father's legs, and okay, I'll admit the legs are distracting. Yeah, it is kind of about fatherhood, but it's also about brotherhood. This movie is about two brothers and the bond, and it's about their journey, and it's about the things that they discover about each other and about themselves along this journey. So I understand that the legs are really distracting. If I could describe the legs to you this way, it's kind of like a magician showing you a magic trick, but the real magic is happening over here. I think a better example of what the legs represent for the story here is, wow, you know what? Mark this day down in history. Never in my wildest dreams did I think in 2020 I would be using movie 43 to make a point about another movie. How did we get here? The point is, in movie 43, there's a scene early in the movie where Kate Winslet is dating Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman takes off his ascot and he's got balls on his throat. No, I'm not kidding. He's got literal balls hanging from his... You know, in hindsight, it actually is kind of funny to think about it. But it's definitely one of those things where you can't say balls on the throat without getting some kind of... I don't know, you just feel some type of way about it. Either way, nuts on his neck, and... Fuck, this is difficult. Stop making me laugh, okay? This is all you guys' fault, all right? I have to think about how I'm saying what I'm saying in this video because of you, and it's because of you that I can't really finish what I'm trying to say here, but stay with me. So in the end, she's going on this date with Hugh Jackman, and she sees nuts on his throat, and it's kind of a metaphor for how when we're out with somebody, we sometimes project our own insecurities onto other people, and we project what we see instead of what actually is there. That's kind of what the dad legs in this movie represents. It's kind of like the balls on the throats of the sons in terms of them wanting to be reunited with their father. But the story is about something much bigger than that. Just like Kate Winslet going on a date with Hugh Jackman, it's not necessarily about his balls on his throat. It's about It's about the man underneath. I don't know where I went with that. Octavia Spencer is boss, and she's having a lot of fun in this movie. So yeah, those are all the reasons I have to recommend seeing it. As far as reasons to not see it, I do think that they could have done the humor in this movie a little bit better. Some of the humor in this movie definitely comes off as very painful and very awkward, and not like in a good way awkward. It's kind of like they're not really sure how to make the audience laugh with the material that they're given. I feel like they could have taken this premise, these creatures and these monsters that have adapted to live how we live in real society. You feel like they could have taken that and run a few miles with it and done some really clever off-the-wall jokes. Zootopia with the sloth scene at the DMV or whatever, like that's clever. Like, I like that. There's nothing like that in this movie, and that's kind of disappointing. The only other nitpick I have is about the brothers and their relationship. While I do like where they ended up in the movie, I feel like more friction, more tension should have been set up between them at the beginning of the story. I don't know, I feel like it could have added a little bit more to the conflict and some of the ups and downs that they go through later on in the movie. Would have had a little bit more emotional punch. As it stands, you don't feel that friction, so it kind of feels like some of the drama is manufactured. And as somebody who is very close to his little brother, I gotta say, this movie definitely hits you in the feels in certain moments. Onward was a pretty awesome animated Disney Pixar movie. I'm gonna leave this one in the Silver Age for Man of Steel. A solid 3 to 3.5 out of 5 there, guys. Definitely check it out. It's on digital. It's on Disney Plus if you feel like spending money on it. I mean, that's your choice. Please subscribe to the Superfan Show, and as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.